Before you finalize that ticket, before you set that roster, you need the edge. Welcome to the 1 hour window that separates the winners from the losers. We're diving deep into the spreads, the over-unders, the value plays, and the sleepers you must start. Stop guessing and start winning. This is the Gridiron Gurus, providing the ultimate NFL advantage exclusively on the Empty the Bench Network.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Gridiron Gurus here on the ETB Network, which cues us into our first banner here. Please, I want to remind everybody to follow us at youtube.com/ETB Network. And we've gotten past that 3,000 hour watch mark. Our next benchmark is 4,000. So hopefully you guys can help us out with that. To all 67 watching right now, if you could keep us on for the next hour, that would be very helpful for our network, so we can get an inch closer to monetization. So that's what we're striving for here. But how are you guys doing? We've got some good topics today. There's been some preseason football that, so far looks pretty good. I've enjoyed it, or at least the games I've watched. I haven't watched a lot, but I've watched a little bit. But what do you guys think?
Yeah, obviously glad to be on here once again. Like you mentioned, Grant, 3,000 watch hours. Obviously it's huge, of course, for our network. I'm very glad, of course, where it is. In terms of the preseason, I'll watch if maybe a quarter or so. I kind of want to at least see, some starters. Like last night, for instance, I saw, Fernando Mendoza, obviously, of course, because he's obviously not going to start the season, for regular season. But, to at least get some game action, live reps, especially against a really good defense in Houston. I obviously know that he threw a pick six, but you know what? Like, now's the time to get all the kinks out.
He's a rookie. There's going to be growing pains.
Right.
There's going to be growing pains.
You look at the overreactions of, oh, here it is, this guy's a so-and-so bust, this and that. I remember, Drake May, one of his first ever practices, his first year, had a terrible day. And then everybody, of course, was saying, oh, this is it, So your rookies, of course, got to learn, but of course, it's really cool to see. I think it's just only going to get better. And, of course, we have a couple games tonight, Jets and Steelers, and a couple other games. I think Bo Nix is actually playing later tonight. His first game back since his injury. Obviously, he didn't play in the AFC.
That might be an interesting one to watch then.
That was on. It's playing tonight on NFL Network. Against the Packers, so that should be very fascinating. I also do think that the Packers will be probably playing some of their starters in this game too, because they obviously had their starters in week one last week as well too. I don't think that LaFleur likes benching a lot of the guys at least early on in games. Some coaches like it, some coaches don't, and that's just kind of the way teams are. I mean, Joe Burrow obviously played a little bit last week. Brock Purdy played a little bit last night. But if guys obviously are dealing with stuff, don't try to risk it. It's preseason football, right? Especially guys like a guy like Mike Evans, for instance, didn't play last night for the 49ers. Mike has played forever in football. Like, he doesn't need to really push himself.
He is one of those people that you don't need to play in the preseason. Wait until and he's dealing with a quad injury right now. So I'd want him, as healthy as he can be for week 1, because he still has at least 2 good years of football left in him. And with the 49ers, if that team can stay healthy, which I will admit, as of right now, it does not look good with their health, because there is I want to say 20 guys on the injury report. But if that team can stay healthy, they could be one of the Super Bowl favorites. I mean, the biggest Super Bowl favorite is the Rams. I'm sorry to say it, but it's true. I mean, they just got Myles Garrett. They're eventually going to get Aaron Donald. I don't care what people say. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of when it happens. It's not if. He's coming back. I have a feeling. But do you have anything to say, Michael, on the preseason front?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really watched any of it. I saw the Bears won. That was cool. So,
and actually, it's funny. The second half play caller was Antoine Randall L. So it wasn't even Ben Johnson. So, and they scored a good amount in the second half. They scored a lot.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say this real quick. I don't like when starters play in preseason personally, unless you're a rookie. That's just how I am.
I can understand that.
Just because I don't like injuries.
Geno Smith complete a pass, so the New York Jets starting offense is out there right now. I'm trying to see who caught me that catch here.
If it's Garrett Wilson, I understand, but if it's anyone else, I'm surprised.
It is not. It was not Garrett Wilson. It was.
I bet Garrett Wilson's sitting out.
It's number 15 on the Jets. Well, they also have a Danny Mitchell also. Yeah, it was Mitchell. He has 2 catches.
Okay.
He'll be a big piece for the Jets. I'm not gonna lie. With the team line division, no knock on Knicks Jets per se. Both Knicks Jets. I think they'll be better this year, but you see the division. Yeah. They're obviously going against.
They might be better, but I don't think they're leaps and bounds better. But I will say this: they impressed me during the NFL draft. I loved David Bailey for them. I respect them trading up for Omar Cooper Jr.
Yeah, that was a good pick. Yep.
I'm interested to see how Sadiq does. That is one. That was the one that was a questionable pick for me at the time. But I think what they're doing for right now is getting the pieces for their eventual starting quarterback they will probably draft next year. Because I still think that
that's a crazy play.
I think they'll still have a fairly high draft pick.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they were number 2 this past year. I think they may go from 2 to, if they're lucky, 5. So, I think next year's quarterback class should be pretty loaded. But I will say this: I think the number 1 pick next year is not going to be a quarterback. I think it's going to be a wide receiver in the name
from Ohio State, yes,
Jeremiah Smith. So that's my prediction for number 1 pick next year. Whoever has the number 1 pick. But
what's crazy? I think's gonna have the number 1 pick. And I don't even think they're necessarily the worst team on paper. I think the Raiders are gonna try to get it again.
That would be something. I'm
gonna go Titans.
I can see either of those happening. I will respect both of your choices.
I don't back the Dolphins.
The Dolphins would suck. The Cardinals would suck as well. I don't want the Cardinals to get the number 1 pick, but they're probably going to. But I do want what I want to see. I want to see the Raiders get the number 1 pick.
See, the thing that absolutely sucks, right, about the team that gets the number one pick, and then and this is all I'm going to say before we actually get into our topics, because we're totally off track here. The team that gets the number one pick is going to suck for so long before they fix it. I mean, if it's the Cardinals,
Bears a year.
what?
It took
What'd
the
you think?
Bears 2 years. Not a long time. Took them
Well,
2 years.
Okay,
With
yeah,
that.
yeah, but like, I mean, like if the number one pick is like the Dolphins, the Cardinals, or the Jets, I'll say the Jets just because it's a team that usually stinks. If it's one of those three, it's going to take them a while to crawl out of that hole. And honestly, if the Cardinals are the ones with the first overall pick in that situation, I think you might need to go quarterback, because you can't go into the year with Jacoby Brissett as your number one quarterback again. I don't think he's a long-term starter. But I also could see the Cardinals just trying to tank this year. But that's all I'm going to say. Let's get into our actual topics here, because that was totally off topic. So Jayden Daniels is facing drama with LSU over his number 5 college number, because there are players in the NFL right now that played for LSU and now play in the NFL, and their numbers are retired. Like, I'm pretty positive about this. Joe Burrow's number is retired, right? Number 9's retired. So number 9
just got retired.
Number 9 just got retired. So
I think so.
And I mean, Jayden Daniels made a social media post that said that he's not focused on that. He's focused on helping the Commanders win right now, which is good to hear, because as a franchise quarterback, you should want to be focused on helping the team that you currently are, the leader of, to win. And honestly, I'm going to say this: Jayden Daniels has had a couple. I mean, his rookie year was great. Last year was plagued with injuries, so that's not really his fault. But honestly, I'm going to say this: the injury that he had last year, his elbow injury, because he had a couple of injuries, but specifically his elbow injury, it looked a lot worse than it was. I mean, I thought he was done with football after that injury, because he fell on it so weird. I'm like, oh my God, that does not look good. But as an NFL franchise quarterback, if you're dealing with drama, I mean, it's not good to deal with drama as a quarterback. But if you can push it to the side and focus on the team that you currently lead, that's very important. And Jayden Daniels at least released a statement saying that that's what he's doing. I don't know per se if he's actually 100% focused on that, but I mean, it's just a number, and you wear it in the NFL. So if you want to, I mean, I think the more important thing is making sure that number for the NFL is the bigger legacy. Because I mean, you want to be, if you're a franchise quarterback, you want to be with that franchise for all or most of your career. I mean, I'm going to use one of my co-hosts' quarterbacks as an example. I mean, Tom Brady, for 95% of his career, was a New England Patriot. And honestly, I mean, when he left for the Bucs, first of all, it was to be close to one of his kids, so that's different. But also, I mean, he won 6 Super Bowls with the Patriots, and literally never made, half of what quarterbacks nowadays make. He always took the it's still expensive, but expensive, but at the same time, you could still build around me quarterback contract. Nowadays, quarterback contracts take up 25% of the cap space. So you got to, strategically extend people on the team because of how much your quarterback is taking up. But what are your guys' thoughts on this drama?
You go first, Mike.
Yeah, no, so personally, I don't think this is Jayden Daniels drama. I think it's more of his mom, like because his mom's his manager and stuff. So I think it's
That
his
is
mom
fair. That is
doing
fair.
all this stuff. Because obviously, I think he is focused on the NFL and he doesn't care. But I think because there's a new guy on LSU who got number 5, and then like that's basically where it started, and then he wanted his jersey retired, I guess. But I think that's his mom's doing, and all you see are these like TikToks or tweets about like respecting Jayden Daniels, like we're doing this to respect 5. Like if you have picked 5 in fantasy, you should not pick on that pick. Like stuff like that. Like that's all the memes are.
Yeah,
So,
it's so weird. I've seen those like for the last like 3 days. I'm like, oh my god, this is insane.
yeah, but I don't think that's him really doing that. Like, does he deserve his number retired at LSU? I don't think so.
Maybe
Like,
not right now, but eventually. I mean,
I don't think so. I mean, he won the Heisman, but the thing with him versus like a guy like Joe Burrow who got his retired, Joe Burrow won the Heisman through 60 touchdown passes, 5,500 yards, and Jayden Daniels had 4,100 yards with, I think it was 40 touchdowns. So, and Joe Burrow won the national championship. Jayden Daniels didn't.
And
so that's
how
like
long was Burrow at LSU? He was there for
I think he was a starter for 1 year, right, Ben?
Oh,
If I'm not mistaken.
wow. I thought Burrow was at least there for 2 years.
Because he was at Ohio State for a while.
Didn't play.
Yeah, he transferred from Ohio State.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's surprising. But I mean, you also have to understand that the year that Joe Burrow was at LSU as the starter, he had Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase as primary receivers. Now, I'm not saying that the receivers that Jayden Daniels had at LSU were bad. I'm just saying, I mean, Joe Burrow had a powerhouse of pass catchers.
You know who Jayden Daniels had? Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr.
Well, that is.
I know they're not Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson, but that's still
a powerhouse, but not as big a powerhouse, is what I'm saying. But Ben, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think there's some part of it to Jayden because I don't think his mom essentially. I mean, the mom obviously probably had a massive say in it, but Jayden just could have told his mom, like, hey, like I personally don't care. Like essentially, like I want to do because I was the one that was playing. I mean, you're obviously like the one that, of course, is going to advise me in terms of what the best way to go with this is. But like Grant said, it's a number, and I think when you see this situation, I mean, when you want to be a teammate specifically, you want to be a specific leader and everything like that. A lot of this type of stuff, and I'm not saying that Jayden Daniels is probably a bad guy, but it's just a specific situation in which you want to take the higher road. And I just feel like in this case he didn't. I think there was a ton of control in this from the higher ups people. I mean, Jayden Daniels' mom was saying in terms of like different girlfriends as well too regarding about this situation also. So it's like it didn't have to come to this. I just didn't think it's just stupid. I think out of anything. It's just something specifically that really did not have to have a bigger story than it was, and it's because
Very fair.
he had some control that was not from him personally, but just from everybody around him, and he just kind of went with it.
No, I think that's a very fair statement. I think everything you said is very fair. And it's going to be interesting to see how this is handled. I mean, I'm at least glad that Daniels is focused on the NFL, because sometimes with drama and stuff like this, the player focus is altered because of what the drama is. So knowing that Jayden Daniels is focused on the NFL, that's a good thing. So, and I do think that he's gonna have a good year. I mean, the Commanders, they do have good weapons. It's just, last year he got dealt, a couple bad hands with injuries. One looked way worse than it was, but kept him out for the end of the season. And, the Commanders didn't have necessarily a quality backup, but, I'm interested to see where it goes this upcoming season. Going into our next topic, this one is, was a little, I'm not surprised by it, but I was a little sad when I saw it, because this was a player that I thought that my team would be in on. But Vita Vea got a 1-year extension worth $30 million by the Buccaneers. And it was released. It did, NFL insiders did come out and say that a couple teams were interested in trading for him. The two teams that I saw were the Bears and the Bills, which I will admit I would have loved to see Vita Vea on the Bears. But with this extension, it frees up something for the Buccaneers to use next season. That's very important, because Baker Mayfield, he is on the last year of his contract with the Buccaneers, and he had set a deadline with the front office this training camp to get a contract extension done with them. And they did, extend offers to him, but none that he necessarily liked. But with them extending Vita Vea, they don't need to use the franchise tag on Vita Vea next year to keep him around. With this extension, the Buccaneers can use it on Baker Mayfield. Now, it's important that I mention, just because they use it on him does not mean that Baker Mayfield has to play on it, because there have been, situations where players in the past have not played on the franchise tag. Le'Veon Bell, for example. Who else? I can't think of anyone else, but it's important. There have been other people, but I really like this extension for Vita Vea. I mean, $30 million is a lot of money. I mean, for anybody. I mean, I'm not going to touch that much money in my lifetime, even if I worked for the rest of my life. I will never touch that much. But I think he deserves it. He's a great D tackle. Not necessarily up to the standard of Aaron Donald, but he's one of those top 5 defensive tackles for sure. And we'll see where he goes from here. And it's important that I mention. Well, it's funny that I'm going to mention something. he told Todd Bowles, the head coach of the Bucs, that he's going to retire when Todd Bowles retires. And I mean, Todd Bowles is pretty, well, not pretty old, but he's in his 50s, I want to say. I don't know the actual number on that, but what are your guys' thoughts on this? Because this is a really nice extension, I think.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I thought he kind of was just another type of guy that was kind of holding out.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
I think it was more of a request. So there's a difference when I see a requesting trade and then requesting trade holdout. They honestly should have a term in the NFL, a request trade / holdout in it. But it's probably something. It's probably something that they probably want to like. It's probably like for the players' side of things. It's just like, well, I just want to I want to decide for my own self personally. But I think another thing about Vita, I mean, he's obviously a really good guy against the run. He's a huge body, and he's a good leader too. I think just another thing, like that's the leader of men that they need on that defense. And yeah, I mean, Jason White obviously getting this thing done, and it's only a 1-year deal, so if anything, he could probably play through it and then cash out the following season if he has another good year, which I anticipate he will. So, like you mentioned, Grant, I think there's probably other teams that were probably pursuing him. It didn't seem like the pursuit really went anywhere, which kind of
the teams that we're calling, they were told, no, we're not actually trading him. So it's like, honestly, a player of this caliber, usually that's what they say. I mean, to be honest with you, I was shocked when I saw the Myles Garrett trade, but I think it was just the package that they got was too much to pass up. I don't think they wanted to do it. I think it was the fact that they just suck so bad that they were like, well, this would help us. So sorry for interrupting. Go ahead.
No, it's fine. But this reminded me of like the Terry McLaurin situation. Of course, he kind of reportedly
that's a good
requesting trade, but he requested a trade to say, AKA, I want more money. Now, Vita obviously only had 1 year, but I think it was just kind of more of, with Vita's case, like, he's like, Grant, you mentioned, he's not one of the top guys, one of the top defensive nose tackles in football, but he's a very good, defensive player. So it makes a lot of sense for them to keep him and then, go from there.
Yeah. What about you, Michael? You have anything to say on this?
Yeah, I think this was just more of Vita Vea saying pay me instead of like
I think
Ben said, it was like a request trade, but like it wasn't a demanding trade, like a demand trade.
Yeah, I mean it's very important to note, when a player comes to his team and says trade me, usually the tweet says, so and so has demanded a trade, and when that was released for Vita Vea, it did not say demanded. So I mean, it needs to be like a serious tweet for it to actually be like, oh, this player is actually going to play for another team.
Yeah. And then I think this hurts Baker a lot more than we all think, because Baker wanted a new contract. He gave him a deadline. They didn't meet the deadline. So I have a feeling we might not be seeing Baker in a Bucs uni that long, which sucks because I do think Baker is good. Don't get me wrong. I love me some Baker Mayfield, but I think it's gonna be like
this is it.
Yeah. Wow. Unless they give him what he wants at the end of the season, because I don't think he's playing off a franchise tag. Unless they go like 12-5 and make a deep playoff run, but I don't think that team is there yet, per se.
And they did just lose Mike Evans.
Yeah, I don't think that hurts them as much as we all think, personally. Just because Mike
The
Evans
thing with
played
Mike
like
is
4
Mike
games.
is great, but Mike can never stay healthy consistently.
Yeah.
So Baker essentially for a lot of his career, to be honest, has played with essentially just a lot of different weapons. Like
Yeah.
he was without Godwin and Evans for a couple weeks even for during one of the seasons, and he had to have guys like Tez Johnson and Bucky Irving and Cameron Johnson and Kate Otten. I mean, Kate Otten I think is his primary guy. I know, of course,
Kate Otten is a respectable tight end. I like him.
Kate Otten, I think, is his primary guy. He loves over the middle of the field. On the outside of the numbers, I think Baker's all right, but where Baker excels the most is his PA game over across the middle of the field verticals, and then obviously you can kind of open up the outsides. I mean, if you look at quarterbacks that throw in terms of outside the perimeter, I mean, for me, and this is not a knock on Baker, I don't think Baker is one of the better ones. I think he's decent, but I would not put him in like the top 5. I think when you look at the top 5 in terms of the outside the numbers, give me Patrick, give me Josh, give me Joe, give me Drake, and then even Caleb. I even put Caleb. Caleb's great on the outsides too.
Well, I respect your list, and that is not just because you included Caleb. All of the guys that you mentioned are great.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think this extension kind of
ruins the chances
of Baker Mayfield, unless Baker's very competitive, so he might just play just to play off of franchise.
It's too bad because honestly, I'm gonna say I love Baker in a Bucs uniform.
So I
think he wants to stay. So it's a matter of you gotta play hardball with him. If you play hardball with him, he's good.
Yeah, exactly. Which I could be completely wrong with them not paying Baker. So, but I think they have to get a deal done after the season for him to stay, in my opinion. Or else he's not playing.
I think you're right. But we wish Vita Vea luck, and I'm gonna say it. I wish Baker luck. I hope he has a season where he balls out and gets the extension from the Bucs because he's just for a number 1 pick. He's moved around too much. I think he's moved around too much. I mean,
whatever you do, Baker, do not go to the NFC North. We don't want you here.
Yeah.
AKA, don't go to the Vikings because.
Yeah, don't go to the Vikings, please. Please don't go to the Vikings. That's my one request. You can go to anyone else you want. Just don't go to the Vikings. But let's get into the next topic. So Daniel Faalele, which is a very complicated name to say, even though it looks very straightforward, was traded to the Jacksonville Jaguars. I want to say today's Friday. I want to say it was Wednesday. It was a couple days ago. But it was Daniel Faalele for a 6th round draft pick, which was funny because he went from the Ravens, followed John Harbaugh to the Giants on a 2-year contract or something, and he didn't even make it full training camp before John Harbaugh was like, "Nope, you're out of here. We're gonna go with someone else. We'll trade you for pocket change." I mean, it's gonna be interesting to see how the change of scenery helps Faalele, but honestly, from some of the highlights that I've seen, he gets beat a lot. So, it's very important that he tightens up his game because if he wants to be in the league for a long time, he's gotta be a better blocker. But I like the Jaguars. They were 13-4 last year. I don't see much of a drop off for them. I mean, I do see a little bit of a drop off because I don't think unless you're Tom Brady, you can repeat 13-4, multiple years in a row. But I think they could still be 11 or 12 wins, if they can stay healthy. So hopefully Faalele can either, get some snaps in at guard for the Jaguars or be a quality backup. I think the next 2 preseason games for him are going to be pretty important because, sometimes when you get traded, game tape is what you have to do to convince your new coach that you're, a quality starter. And when you get traded for as much as Faalele got traded for, you don't start very often. Unless your team is that desperate for offensive tackle or offensive guard. But I wish him luck. What do you guys have to say about this?
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. No idea who this is. The only offensive linemen I know are like the guys on the Bears, and then the big name players, which I feel like is everyone. They know their team, and then the big name guys. So
yeah, fair enough.
I hope he can do good for them. The Jags surprised us last year with that terrible start, and then they somehow finished 13-4. So, and then that division is kind of crazy because you have the Texans, and then you have the Colts with that hot start. So
yeah, that was the surprise because I had the Colts winning with their division with the startup they had. They were 8-1 in their first 9 games.
They were 8-0.
Oh wow!
And then Daniel Jones got injured, and they didn't win a game. So that one kind of confuses me because Daniel Jones wasn't that good on the Giants, but yeah, no, this could be a good trade for the Jags. They could get their guard of the future or backup. We don't know. I don't know what their offensive line situation is really looking like. I don't think it's the greatest, but who knows? Another guy to protect T-Law. I like T-Law a lot. So
yeah, he's a quality quarterback. What about you, Ben? You have anything to say about this?
Yeah, it's a low risk type of move for the Jags.
High reward, yeah.
The Jags obviously they need some help on their offensive line. Like Grant, you mentioned, I think they're going to have another good year this year. That division though is going to be fascinating. You obviously have the Colts, who of course are guns blazing. They were the best team, in the AFC for pretty much the first half of the season. Jonathan Taylor obviously put up crazy, insane numbers. The Texans, I think, are going to be better this year, but how is CJ going to play? That's a massive ask for sure. But yeah, Daniel Faalele, I think he's a center. I'm pretty sure.
I think he's a guard.
He's a guard. Yeah, I haven't heard great things about him, but I think the Jaguars are going to just kind of give him a shot and see how things go.
Yeah, it cost them a 6th-round draft pick. At that point, you're like, all right, come in and show us that you can, take over or you can compete for something, But I wish him luck. But let's get into our next topic here. This one hurts. Not because like I like this player. But he's not on my team. But he had a quality season last year, and he was in line to be the number 2 target for CJ Stroud. But he tore his ACL a couple days ago in practice, and is out for the season. Now, the Texans did sign
2 guys,
Jones and Sterling Shepard,
which are, I think, there's decent depth pieces at this point in their careers.
Yes, I can agree with that. Personally, if I were to decide on which one I like more between Sterling Shepard or Zay Jones, I'm gonna say Zay Jones because I believe he is younger. But just when anyone in line for a target share of probably at least 30% as a wide receiver 2 or something like that sustains an injury like this, you can't help but feel bad for him, because you're at the point where you're like, oh, this guy could have had a huge season if he stayed healthy, and if his quarterback stayed healthy. But that's just part of football. Injuries eventually happen, and they just you can't avoid them. I mean, if a player plays in the NFL for 10 plus years and doesn't sustain an injury, they are superhuman. So I mean, it's devastating that it's an injury of this caliber, because he's going to have to sit out the year. But again, you can't help injuries. They just are inevitable in any sport. But what are your guys' thoughts on this?
Yeah, it sucks. Injuries just suck in general, but you also have to take a look at the Texans have been riddled with injuries and riddled with their receiving corps.
Very true. Very true.
Intel, obviously,
he's coming back. Actually,
who's coming back. It just figures, right, that another one of their guys, like Grant, you mentioned, target shares, goes down with I don't say it's similar. I guess similar. Technically speaking, Tank Dell obviously dealt with something pretty bad.
It was bad. I saw it. I was watching that game when it happened, and my jaw dropped when it happened, and that was when Tank Dell was like coming on. He came on like a couple weeks before that, but then that happened, and I'm like, oh, that sucks.
Yeah, no. So I mean, I wish Jayden Higgins well. He obviously played quite a bit in the postseason game against the Patriots last year. I do obviously remember him on the field a lot. A lot of speed. One of the deep route guys. And I thought with the loss of Christian Kirk, he really was going to have a bigger role in the offense. So it stinks. But hopefully he comes back soon. And just wish him well. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, I mean, this does suck for the Texans, but it is a good thing that Tank Dell is coming back. I don't know if you've seen him. He looks incredible right now. Running routes, like he looks crispy and
like the Tank Dell that we saw before the injury.
Yeah, like the Tank Dell we saw 3 years ago. Like he looks like that Tank Dell, which is
right
for CJ Stroud, because CJ Stroud loved him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, CJ Stroud literally went to the Texans front office like the day after he was drafted and told them, "Do whatever you have to do. Get me Tank Dell," because he was the guy that CJ threw to at the combine and just loved him. And honestly, they had a good rapport going.
Yes, they did.
When they were rookies together. And if you're drafting your franchise quarterback, which I do think that the Texans do have, it's important that you make him happy. It doesn't necessarily mean it's always going to go his way, but in this instance, it did go his way, because he went to them and told them, just find a way, and they did. So that's really good.
Yeah, but obviously you don't want to see injuries, even if it's Aaron Rodgers. But
we only have to deal with him one more year. Think of it.
Yeah, good, thank God. But I think this just opens the door for Tank Dell again to see if he's actually that guy.
Mm-hmm.
So, which would suck for Higgins, because I think he's going to be a breakout player this year. So, but then again, I thought he was going to be a breakout player this year for fantasy.
Yeah, I can agree. He did look like he was one of those guys.
Yeah, but it also, they have Nico Collins who can carry most of the workload, which is always good to have. So, but then you got Tank Dell coming back, who, when he came onto the scene, had 3-touchdown game, had 55 fantasy points. So
Yeah, I
I
think
remember that game because
I
I was
think I
going up
had
against him.
I had him for that game. I don't know what made me do it, but I picked him up. I think either it was that week or the week after that. But after that week, I was astounded by him.
Yeah, I was going up against him, so it was not fun.
Oh, of course it wasn't.
Yeah.
Um,
But that's
yep,
it.
go ahead.
No,
But
that's it.
okay, all right. Continuing on the injury front, Alvin Kamara is set to miss a month because he sustained a MCL injury. I'm looking that up right now to confirm that. Yes, so he is expected to miss a month with a MCL sprain. So, I mean, that really sucks because he's one of those guys that is a good, another good running back. But the Saints did also get Travis Etienne. He says that his
He says it's Achan, but it's not Achan.
Yeah, he says that his last name is pronounced Achan, but it does not look whatsoever like that. So I'm gonna just say it how I see it. But Alvin Kamara is also, I want to say, in his late 20s or early 30s, which
He's in his 10th year.
I can't believe that. It doesn't feel like he should. It doesn't feel like that he should be in his 10th year, but I mean, that's insane. Because Kamara, he's a good running back, but again, injuries happen, and you can't do anything to stop him. So what are your guys' thoughts on this?
It's tough for them. I mean, but he's missed a lot of time, and I feel like the Saints are going to be good enough where they can probably miss his absence. If it's only a month, I think they'll be okay.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, they paid ETN money for a reason. I mean, I don't think Kamara was going to start anyways, but it was more like that's your passing down guy. Like, that's what Kamara does. Like, he catches passes and he breaks off for big plays. But
yeah, no, that's
you're gonna
fair point.
But fantasy owners, I mean, ETN could be a very good play for the first couple months. Honestly, the whole season, in my opinion, I just think Saints running backs get a lot of like checkdowns. So, but that was because Kamara's been there for so long, and I think that's just how he is. So maybe ETN can come into that role and get the checkdowns, but if not, ETN's still a great play with Kamara out and with Kamara in.
Yeah, no, I can agree. What about you, Ben? You have anything to say?
Yeah, I said before, Mike. I said I think it's a tough loss, but I think that they'll still be okay if it's only a month or so, especially now ETN there.
Yeah, I mean, we are 3 weeks technically away from football almost. So really, I mean, if it is only a month, he may miss week 1, but as long as he's back, within the first 2 or 3 weeks, he should be fine. But let's go into our preview of the NFC North and AFC North. All right, let's start with the AFC North because they're higher on the standings or NFL.com standings list. So the Steelers, Ravens, Bengals, and Browns are in that division. And it's important that I mention 3 out of those 4 teams have new head coaches. And I'm also going to emphasize the fact that I think it should have been all 4. I mean, so the Steelers' new coach is Mike McCarthy. The Ravens head coach is now Jesse Minter, and the Browns head coach is now Todd Monken. This is a hard division to now predict because of the fact that 3 of the 4 head coaches are new head coaches, or at least for the respected teams. But if I'm being honest, who do I think takes this division? I'm going to say it. I think it's the Ravens. I mean, in my personal opinion, out of every head coach hire that happened this past offseason, Jesse Minter is my favorite. I love Jesse Minter to the Ravens. He worked there as a low assistant coach first, and then went to Michigan to be Jim Harbaugh's DC in Michigan, and then followed him to the Chargers the past 2 years, and now he gets a head coaching job. And honestly, I respect most of his coaching staff. So they were 8-9 this past year. I could probably see either the same record or a 9-8 season, depending on if Lamar can stay healthy. The Browns are really hard to predict because they just haven't been a good football team, but they did get a lot of weapons in this draft that I do think are going to be very impressive. Casey Conception, or however you say his name, did catch a touchdown pass against the Bears in week 1 of preseason, and it was a pretty good catch. It was not an easy catch. But still, there's a bunch of quarterback questions there. So that's an important thing to figure out. Although I would say I do believe that Todd Monken will probably start Deshaun Watson, even though I wouldn't do it. I don't know who goes to the bottom in terms of this division, but I think the Ravens will win it. And I'm going to say, I'll just make my guess. I think depending on how the Bengals are, I think they could be at the bottom, which pains me to say because they do
That's
have
crazy. That is crazy.
They do have a lot of good weapons, but it's just if they lose Joe Burrow, which they have in the last couple of months or a couple of years, it just goes to crap when they don't have Joe. So
yeah, I think their defense might make a step up this year. Personally, I just think they, to me, probably be third, but it's going to be a tight race.
Who do you think wins the division, Ben?
The Ravens. I think personally, they're the they're the best balanced team. I think between everybody.
Sure.
Pittsburgh, it's Aaron Rodgers' last year. I don't really know what to make out of them. I think, but the thing is, they're always in the mix. But yeah, the Ravens.
All right, Mike. What are your thoughts on our on the AFC North?
Well, see, I'm a lot different than you guys. I think the biggest ceiling will be the Bengals. I think the Bengals will have either the best record by like 2 games or they'll be third in the division, like you guys said. So I think the Bengals will win the division, and that's just if everyone's healthy, obviously. But
That is a big if.
yeah, the safest pick will probably be the Ravens. The Ravens will most likely win that division. But I could see this being a lot closer than we think, and like by closer, I mean I can see the Bengals having upwards to 11, maybe 12 wins, depending on how hot they get. Because I do think that defense will step up a little bit this year, and
Well,
obviously you can
they
never
did
count
get
out the
Dexter.
Ravens. Yeah,
So I
and
guess
you
that
can
was
never
something I forgot.
you can never count out the Ravens from not getting 13 wins with Lamar back there. As long as
And
he's
Derrick Henry.
yeah.
And Derrick Henry.
So, and I think their floor is probably the highest. Their floor is probably, I think, 10 wins. I think they're a 10-win team easily. But that's even with their backup out there, in my opinion, with
I
Tyler
respect
Huntley.
that.
But the biggest ceiling is for sure the Bengals. The Bengals, I don't know. I'm always high on the Bengals. And then obviously in last place, it's going to be the Browns. And I don't think that's going to be even close.
I don't think so either. But they'll have 2 first-round draft picks, so that'll be helpful for next year.
I think the Browns maybe have 5 wins.
So you think they have the same record?
Yeah, I think they'll have the same record. Maybe 6. Maybe a rookie wins them a game. But
all right. Well, going into the NFC North, this is a division that's going to be very hard to predict here. So last year the Bears were 11-6, the Packers were 9-7-1, and the Vikings and Lions were both 9-8. I do think that the Vikings will take a step up, but at the same time, I can't necessarily say that I trust Kyler Murray to be a very, great, because he just scrambles around a lot. I want to say that I want to see the Bears get either 10 or 11 wins like last year. But and I'm going to say that I think we do, but at the same time, I'm going to also say that I could see, not a step down, but just maybe a little. I don't think we're going to be dealing with as many comebacks as last year, which I'll totally take.
I'll gladly take it.
I don't want to see the Packers, do great, but at the same time, once they get Micah Parsons back, which I don't think will be for at least the first month.
Week 6.
So that's going to hurt them a little bit, but they did draft a bunch of guys on defense. So, but at the same time, rookies are rookies. They'll make mistakes. So the NFC North is one of the divisions that's very hard to predict who wins and who wins the NFC North and who is at the bottom of the NFC North. What do you think, Michael? I don't know. I can't.
I can tell you very quick.
Okay.
So,
knock it up.
Unfortunately, Grant, I think the Packers will be second, and then it's going to be a toss-up between the Lions and the Bears for 1 and 3. That's what I think it's going to be, and then I think the Vikings will be 8 and 9. I don't think their team necessarily got worse, but I just think it's such a hard division that I maybe see them winning one game in our division.
I think that's fair.
Is that against the Bears? Is that against the Packers? Is that against the Lions? I don't know.
If that one game, if your prediction is correct, if that one game is against the Bears, please, for the love of God, do not make it week 2, because I am going to that game, and if we lose, I'm going to be pissed off. And it's also my dad's birthday on that day, so that's going to ruin his birthday.
Yeah, this division is the hardest division to predict. Like, the NFC West, like you can predict because it's a top 3 teams, and then they have the Cardinals. Whereas like here, I could see every team winning the division. Like it's
It's
one of
fair.
those,
That's fair. That's a fair statement.
and I think this is the toughest division in football, just based on players, head coaches, stuff
Oh
like
yeah,
that,
I can
quarterbacks,
agree.
even quarterbacks. I mean, you debatably have 3 top 10 quarterbacks, and I hate to say that about Jordan Love, but
But you can't say 4 because Kyler Murray is not great. I
no.
mean,
But at one point, you did consider him as a top 10 quarterback, but
at one point, yes.
everyone did. But yeah, no, this is the best division in football, and it can shape out every single way possible, and every team will probably have a winning record. So,
Mhm.
but I do think the Bears stay 1. I think they go 12-5. I think the Lions and Packers both go 11-6, and then I think the Vikings go 8-9, or yeah, 8-9 or 9-8.
Well, honestly, man, I'm gonna say it. I hope your prediction is right because I can't predict. Like you said, this is the hardest division to predict. It's just with the NFC North, it's more of a wait and see because the Bears and Packers were 2 of the founding franchises of the NFL. So I mean, it's just you can never get past the rivalry. You can never Packers fans when you're a Bears fan or stuff like that. So I mean, this is a hard. I love your prediction, but Ben, what do you have to say?
Yeah, so I think with this division, the Bears obviously had a good year last year. I don't know. I think the Packers are probably going to win it, but it's probably going to be neck and neck. I don't think that between the 2 teams, I don't think it's a runaway personally. And then the Vikings, I think, are going to be in the middle of the pack because they weren't great last year, but I think Kevin O'Connell is a good enough coach where I think he can kind of unlock a lot of just like reclamation project quarterbacks. Whether it's a guy like Sam Darnold, obviously now the way he's doing now, obviously what's his name, Case Keenum, he got him going, and I think Kyler coming in with. He's obviously still in the NFC, so of course he's acclimated with that. I think he'll be good this year. I do.
And I do too. It's just he still scrambles too much. I think is his problem.
Yeah, it's his consistency that worries me.
Yeah.
And then obviously trying to remember the last team in the North. Lions. Yeah.
That's where it's tough because you don't know what the Lions are.
Yeah. I mean, I guess right now I can't even put like an order right now personally.
No.
I think it's going to be in the top 3.
Yeah, that's the hard.
Because the best team on paper is the Lions for sure. Like they're the favorite right now to win the division. And then it's like you got the Packers and Bears. Like you got the Bears very upside, very good young players, and then you got the Packers just been winning for so long. And then you got the Vikings who you never know what they could pull out of their sleeve, and they can go 14-3 again. Like you never know. Like, that's why this division is the hardest. And
yep, if they have the right quarterback, they can win that many games.
Yeah, but you gotta think, we thought this with Sam Darnold too. And next thing you know, they went 14-3. So
yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But Ben, do you have to do reads before?
I do have to do reads. I got 2 reads for tonight.
Okay. Knock yourself out.
Obviously, number 1 is Between the Ropes with Christy Wilson. Shout out to Christy. Saturday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. The world of professional wrestling and combat sports move by the hour, but Christy Wilson keeps you right between the ropes. Join us Saturday at it says 5 p.m., but 7 p.m. And then it would be 5 p.m. Pacific for an inside look at the squared circle. From executive extensions and streaming shakeups to the Forbidden Door drama across major promotions, we break down title shifts, contract news, and the fallout of every major betrayal, whether it's the road to WrestleMania or the latest industry-shaking pay-per-view. Chrissy has the pulse of the industry. Only on the End to the Bench Network. Make sure to subscribe to YouTube channel, youtube.com/HB Network. And we also want to have a quick shout out to the football forecast, which will be coming up as well pretty soon. Looking at your weekend radar, there is a massive system brewing, and it's bringing a heavy downfall of sharp picks and colds, hard spreads. Forget the boring old school pregame coverage. This isn't your granddaddy's regular NFL talk show. You need the ultimate weekend outlook before you lay down a single dollar, and that means tuning into the football forecast only on the Edge Bench Network. Lead meteorologist and football insider Johnny Montalbano and the entire ETB football crew break down every matchup on the board, from high pressure defense to low temperature upset alerts. They're delivering 100% chance of high value picks against the spread. Don't get caught in the rain on Sunday. Catch the football forecast every Friday during the NFL season at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, right here on the Internet Network. Get your forecast, track the lines, and weather the storm all weekend long. Premiering September 11th. Only on the Internet Network. Make sure to subscribe to YouTube channel, youtube.com/HB Network. September 11th will be the start of week 1. So make sure to tune in, guys.
All right. Well, that's it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we will see you next Friday for the next edition of Gridiron Gurus, and then we're transitioning back to Sunday, the week after that. So you guys will have to get used to seeing us from 11 o'clock to 12 o'clock during the football season, because me and Michael and when Ben can, we talk about injuries, games of the weeks, and much more during Gridiron Gurus on Sundays. So just a little pre-announcement for that. So hope you guys enjoyed, and we will see you next week.
Right.